a Poppino, 2 times NFR qualifier. I've been feeding EquiPride since 2006, right before we went to NFR the first year. My horse Amigo, he's kind of a picky eater, and once he started eating the EquiPride, it's kind of leveled him out on the road. And Goose, my young horse, the gray horse that I'm riding now, he loves it. Of course, he loves to eat anything, but the EquiPride is kind of like a one-stop shopping supplement. It's like it helps their hooves grow, it keeps their hair looking good, and prebiotics or probiotics, it helps feed the good bugs in their stomachs, which helps keep their body digesting the nutrients, and helping their body use what you feed them, a lot more. So that means what you're feeding them is actually getting used instead of running through them and just costing you money. In 2006, we were having trouble with Amigo. His muscles felt real stringy. And Randy Lindsay was helping me with my horse, and he suggested that I started feeding the EquiPride, and we've been feeding it since then, and his muscles just feel a little softer. We're getting the minerals in there to the muscles, and the electrolytes are in there, so it helps him drink on the road. And I don't have problem with colic. In all the years I've gone, my horses have never colicked. I don't have problem with tie-up. I know a lot of things factor into that, but I think EquiPride, it's kind of the stabilizer in my whole program. And it's easy to feed, and they seem to like it, and it just makes my life easier. Both the horses that I compete on are both cow-bred horses. They both dock bar bred horses. I like the cow horses just because they're a little sturdier, and they've got a little more common sense, and they have plenty enough speed for our event. They're tougher. They've got more heart, I think, just a little sturdier bred horse, and that kind of equals things out. And it's kind of like the EquiPride. It just kind of stabilizes and equals things out, helps keep those horses a little tougher and smooth things out on the road. I travel between 200 and 230 days a year. My horses may run 100 times in a year, and that's hard on horses, competing at this level. And we run on all kinds of ground: hard ground, slick ground, muddy ground, good ground, deep ground, so their muscles are always being used. And we may be in Texas one day and Washington the next and New Mexico the next, and so that tends to make the digestion maybe not flow as well as people think. And it just seems that if they like the EquiPride and they get it in their system, they're getting all those kind of things that it just keeps everything flowing smooth. And it's just an easy way to keep everything under control. The EquiPride has biotin in it, which a lot of people used to feed something just for biotin. I don't have to worry about that. My horses have good feed, especially since I've been feeding the EquiPride. It makes their feet hard, and my horseshoers, they never tell me to go feed something else or put anything on their hooves. They like it. Now, we have a rope horse at home that his feet were terrible, and I started feeding him the EquiPride, and I mean, you can see down his hoof. His hoof is healthy down, about halfway, and then it goes back to being shelly where before the nutrition was getting into his system, and so it carries over. What you feed comes out through their hair and out through their hooves. So the EquiPride has the minerals in it, and they're balanced, the electrolyte minerals, and so I don't usually add electrolytes per se until I get way deep in the summer when it's really, really hot and we're running every day. The rest of the year, I think that the EquiPride takes care of that, and that's one less thing I have to buy, one less thing I have to poke in their mouth, and one less thing that they can spit out on the ground, so it saves me money and more headaches. It's just it just simplifies your life a lot. When you first start them on EquiPride, if their bodies are not getting some of the minerals and nutrients they need, whatever the reason is, you can put one of these tubs out and it may disappear really fast, and then you're thinking, oh my gosh, you can't afford to feed this. But their bodies are just getting the nutrients out of there that they need, and once their body loads those nutrients and gets their body back where it needs to be, then, you know, it levels out, and then it's a slower process. They just kind of eat on it a little at a time. So, you know, don't panic if it disappears the first, you know, week or two, because that means your horse really needs something that's in there, you know. And it's too bad our horses can't talk, because life would be a lot simpler. Well, we demand so much from our horses, you know, whether you're barrel racing, whether you're cutting, whether you're roping. You know, if you're traveling down the road, that's hard on horses. And whatever you can do to keep their eating program the same, and it just does away with so many problems, you know, the ulcers and, you know, and the tying up and colic, and, you know, you get to feeding this and you don't have those problems, and you don't realize, you know, if you're not having problems, you don't realize how much it's saving you. There's not a really good way to say that, but I mean, if you've had all those problems and then you get on it and you don't have them, then you know. But when you look around and you see some people that, you know, their horse seems to colic a lot or has ulcers, and, you know, there's a lot of great products out there for ulcers, but I don't have to buy those because my horses don't have ulcers, because I think we feed the good bugs in there, and, you know, their stomachs are happy. So, you know, if my stomach hurts, I'm probably a little crankier than what I would be normally, and so if they're feeling good, they're usually happier horses. We don't feed a lot of alfalfa where we live. We cut a lot of our own prairie hay, Bermuda grass, which is high in protein. We feed some good Bermuda grass during the winter time, and then when I get on the road, of course, the alfalfa tastes better to everybody, and so when I'm on the road, I tend to, you know, feed them a little bit of alfalfa just to keep them eating more and getting more roughage in them, because they don't have the option of, well, I'm not hungry now, I can eat later. Well, you know, we may have only X amount of time, a couple hours, that they can eat now, and then, you know, we've got to go run. So when you put something in front of them, you want them to eat it, you know, right then. And I've noticed since we've started feeding the EquiPride, like to all of our horses at the house, that I may be a little weird, but I always kick the manure piles when I'm walking from the barn back to the arena, and it just seems like they just kind of, you know, they just break up and disappear here lately, and that's when we've been feeding to all these other horses. And before, you know, you kick it and you've got balls going everywhere, and that's real scientific. But if a horse is digesting all that they're eating, then there's less left over, you know, and the money you're paying for your feed and your hay in the front end, you're not picking up with the fork to throw out the back end. So, you know, it makes good economic sense. You know, and then you don't have to drag your pastures. You know, if that saves you 2 days hooking onto a drag and busting those manure piles up, I mean, here again, it's just saving you another headache, another time, you know, time saver. And I'm not home to do that. I mean, you know, that's just, if it just keeps going back to, if it's saving me time and it's saving me money and headaches, then, man, you know, I'm sold. I'm really sold on this. I've talked myself happy. It just seems like all the things that we've tried to do, you know, to help our horses, you know, we're kind of finding out that we went the wrong way.
Well, I know it.
You know, it's like we thought sweet feed and everything was better for them, and now we're all finding out it's like, oh, maybe that wasn't the thing to do.